Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Sonya.
And thank you for having me. I'm excited.
It's been, I guess, almost a year since our last conversation.
Absolutely. I was just looking. I was like, okay, let me check the date. Yeah, it's been almost exactly a year.
Nice. How has the last year treated you with the launching of your journal and everything like that?
The book went well. Things are going good. And, some things have shifted into other directions, but it's been going really well. It's
Gotcha.
been a
That's
great year.
good. And I guess now we're speaking summertime, but it's like it seems like things, your overall demeanor is like you got the book off your shoulders, so that's one hurdle you cleared.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm very pleased with how that has morphed into other things. And so I'm very excited about that.
Nice. And I almost forgot to ask, for anyone who doesn't know you, who do you say you are?
I am Sonya Denise. I am a author. I am a motivational speaker, and I'm educator. I will never not say that I'm not an educator, although I am retired.
Hmm. Awesome. So I guess now you're probably remembering school's coming back, but you're like, I'm not having to do that this time.
Well, yeah, not really directly, but we are of course a part of all of the different back to school drives, making sure our young people have the supplies that they need to start
Mhm.
school. So, just supporting those efforts and getting our kids prepared to go back into school and that they have what they need so that they can be successful. So I'm
Gotcha.
excited, you know, um, for our young people. I'm excited for the teachers and praying that all is well and that the schools get the money that they need in order to do the things that they know that needs to be done. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Is there, I guess, do you miss a part of being an educator or is it time well spent?
Um, I think it's bittersweet. There is a part of me that missed the drive, the rush, and then all the great people that I had the opportunity to work with in the school district of Philadelphia.
Mhm.
There are some awesome principals, awesome teachers. There are a lot of great people that were, no matter what the rest of the world says,
Yeah.
um, teaching is a hard job, and our teachers do a great job with the resources that they have available to them.
Yeah. That you make a great point because I've always appreciated my teachers and it's very evident very quickly when it comes to teaching other people things, it's like, okay, do I actually remember how to do this? And then when you're kind of looking around the room and it's like, hey, who wants to volunteer to do this? And everyone's like, don't look at me, I'm not doing it.
Right. It's the most thankless job that you could possibly have. And I know we've all heard it. If it wasn't for teachers, there would be no doctors, no lawyers, no
Mhm.
football players, so teachers are the backbone to everything that happens in this country, in this world. And they're the most disrespected
Mm.
profession there is.
Yeah,
But teachers work hard and they still come in there every day with a smile on their face because they have love for children and the young people.
yeah,
Um, so teachers are wonderful people.
I do agree with that. And it's nice to see, I guess, how would I say? Sometimes it's, I guess words are one thing, but then on the other end, compensation is something that's like, okay, like that's another way to kind of show someone you care, aside from maybe giving them lip service where somebody could like pat you on your head or like pat you on your back, be like, good job. It's like, okay, well, there's
Absolutely.
another way to tell me I'm doing a good job, just to pay a
Absolutely.
little bit because I'm the person that's taking care of the kids that you're not seeing during the year. And I think a lot of people definitely bowed their heads a little bit to teachers during the pandemic of 2020 when they're like, ooh, I gotta, I've got to work from home and I've got to keep my kids at the same time. I can't count on the teacher that was really helping me offload this workload and be like, okay, like as soon as we
Absolutely.
can go back, you kids are going back. Like you're not staying here.
Right.
Go, go, go. It's like take
Absolutely.
them. And the teachers were like, oh, you guys, you guys thought it was so easy. Here are your kids back.
Right. Absolutely. And please just, as a note, teaching doesn't end at 3 o'clock.
Hmm.
uh, teachers work well past those hours. And they go home to their own families and they do all the things they need to do. And then often, I mean, I can remember being on the phone at 9 o'clock at night with a principal and a teacher.
Yeah.
And so the work never stops.
Mm.
So if someone's listening, pay them
Yeah. That's
because they're
true.
worth every single penny of it. Pay them and pay them
Yeah.
well.
I've talked to my sister a couple of times, and usually she's working on something or having just finished something or still at school well after. And it's like, yeah, there's no hard stop end times. Otherwise, it's like it's not going to get done. And you're constantly not just playing catch up or keeping up, but you're trying to set new curriculums and things like that for the kids to be able to look forward to, for the school system, the school boards, like all those different things you're trying to juggle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I
Absolutely.
guess from when we last talked to fast forwarding now, like how's 2025 been for you?
So 2025 is wonderful. You know, every day that you get up and look up, it's a new day. So
Hmm.
you look forward to new beginnings and new things, and it's exciting to see which direction God has for you to go.
Mm.
And there's some doors that have been open that I didn't think would be open, but there are a lot of great things that are happening and that will happen before the end of 2025.
Nice. Are you able to share any of those or?
Sure, sure, sure. So one
Mhm.
is that I do have a foundation. It is the Sonya Denise. It's a nonprofit foundation, and the foundation is to help support families, individuals that may have some struggles.
Mhm.
So some of the things that we are beginning to do, because it is a new foundation, is we're supporting back to school with all different churches and organizations for school supplies, um, and just starting some women's group
Mhm.
and working with different individual women, single parents, divorced women,
Mhm.
because as you know, in my book, I talk about starting over,
Mhm.
finding love again, all of those great things that happen that often we don't think that happens. So the foundation is one. I do have a new journal that will be out real soon. It's a 365-day journal.
Oh,
It's called
nice.
Whispers of Grace.
Mm.
So that will be out soon. And then I call it a not podcast because I'm I'm not a podcast person, but they keep telling me it's a podcast. So
Yeah.
around at the end of September, I will have my first podcast that will be
Congratulations.
Transformational Conversations with Sonya Denise. And so we're looking forward to all of those things. And so we've had the opportunity to go to different, um, I've had the opportunity to speak in Maryland and other places that have invited me in other podcasts. So we're excited about what God is doing
Hmm.
as He moves my LLC as well as my foundation, which is near and dear to my heart because I am absolutely believe that we are not here to be served, but to serve others.
Hmm.
And and we are commissioned to help others in any way that we possibly can help, whether that is whatever resources we can help support our families so that they can really live up to the potential that God has for them and find their way out of some lost situations. So
Well, those are some great developments. I definitely will request a copy of your new journal for
absolutely,
for this
absolutely.
one to feature it because I think people really liked the last one. And I was just thinking back to that conversation to where it's like it was really like patience on your part by staying diligent and following up with me and having that conversation at a timely time where I was like, I needed that conversation as much as you enjoyed it. And it was like, man, a lot of good things came out of that. And as you're talking about your foundation now being a nonprofit, I ran across someone on Facebook that was really breaking down the um the language that you use in order to gain things, like knowing how to not just like there are things that people do like the give backs back to school events and things like that, but if you frame it correctly in the writing, you get different grants and things like that. So it's like another way of getting paid. And especially the nonprofit route is something that entities, government entities, private entities are willing to fund to meet their tax requirements for philanthropy and things like that. So I'm glad you're able to start growing those legs of
Oh,
just giving and being able to continue to expand your mission that you're working on.
thank you. And we're excited. So, I do have an advisory board.
Nice.
And so we are currently working on applying for grants and but the biggest thing of all is to be able to help others. We look at all of the floods that we've recently had and the tragedy that happened in Texas, the
Mhm.
fires in California. We look at all of the things that's happening in our country right now. So we want to be able to be of assistance to those families in any way that we can. And while we may not be able to wrap our arms around you physically, but there are other resources that we could help provide to make that burden just a little lighter for you. So that's really the mission of our foundation is to help others in any way that we can and to help provide resources. And where we can't provide resources, to direct them to those resources. And one of those things is huge, as we know, is mental health.
Mm.
Um, and unfortunately, in our community, mental health is still one of the things that is not readily at hand for us because of finances, but
Mhm.
just finding resources where we can support families and young people that may be suffering from any type of mental health. So those are the things that we're developing. Those are the grants that we're applying for. Those are the resources we're looking into, and those are the resources, even if we have to tag them to another foundation, because
Mm.
none of us can do it alone. So
Right.
that the direction of the foundation.
Nice. I like that you in being able to start on your journey, you've been able to bring other people along, whether it's advisors and other groups as well, to really further the mission to be like, okay, if this is the goal, if it goes beyond me, so long as the mission is still met, like that's what's important at the end of the day. It's not just about like, hey, look at what I did. I'm
Absolutely.
so great. Like, look at me, guys. It's like, okay, like I happen to do this and like more people are being able to benefit from that. It's pretty neat.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening, they can find us at the SonyaDeniseFoundation.com or lovesonyadenise.com. At either of those websites, they will be able to tag into us. And it, if even if it's to help us
Hmm.
develop, or if they are looking for help as well. And
Gotcha.
so that we can find the resources for them.
Mhm. And what was the process like in developing this new 365-day journal that you've come up with?
A lot of tears.
Mm.
It was one of the things that out of the book that the Lord gave me was the journal.
Hmm.
Um, it's one of the tools that I found very helpful for myself is journaling, and prayer and reading and studying, just journaling at the end of the day and putting down my thoughts on paper, and then not just putting down my thoughts, but then what do I do next?
Mm.
And really being able to have it as a visual tool as well as and mentally. And so I could always go back and refer to it. And I can also see the progress along the way. Because when I look at where I was and where I am, it helps me to say, okay, you may be moving slow to some people,
Hmm.
but there is progress that is happening. So the journal came out of that. Um, and a lot of great things. People have said different things about the book, how they could relate to different parts of the book, different stories in the book. And sometimes, we don't think our voice matters,
Hmm.
but everybody's voice matters. And so that's what it taught me, that my voice mattered, and the voices of the young ladies that also um, gave their story in allowed me to utilize their stories in my book, that their voices matter. So maybe you can't relate to my life or my story, but there was something in there that you could relate to from each young lady that wrote in the book that shared their story. And so that to me meant more than book sales.
Mm.
Because the goal was always, hey, tell your story, tell your truth. And so others won't feel ashamed of telling their truth. So no more shame, right?
Yeah.
We have no more shame in our stories, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever those stories are, there is no more shame in those stories.
Yeah. When you speak of shame, it's I don't know if surprising is the word, but it's amazing how once you either deal with the shame or you kind of take it off as this wet blanket you've got to wear, it's no longer like, oh, okay, you're not this thing that's constantly haunting me. It's like, I've dealt with you, I've faced you before, and I know what you are. I've put a name to you. I've identified where you come from. So when I meet you, it's not like a surprise. You're trying to mug me, take my money from me every time. I've got to like circle back around this event, this time period in the year, and it's like, man, like waterworks are just like this petrifying, paralyzing fear that just keeps coming around.
Yeah, shame silences us. Shame silences you. It silences your voice. It not only makes you hide from yourself, but it hides you from others and your voice. And it really there are all those other things that add into that, self-esteem, and we've seen a growing rate of suicide.
Mm,
Shame has pushed some people to that point where, what am I here for? And there is a purpose for everyone, and your life matters, your voice matters, and it should be heard.
right.
So no shame, no more shame. My life is my life. My
Mhm.
mistakes are my mistakes. Um, and but it doesn't mean that I can't recover from any of those things from the past.
Mm, that's a good point. And I guess on getting through the pain and the shame and finding love again, have you had suitors start calling on you, like people sliding
Oh,
in your DMs and your inboxes?
well, I don't really look at DMs unless I know who you are. Because along with that are a lot of weird people out here, strange
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
But I don't really deal with the DMs too much.
right.
Um, you have to know somebody that know me
Yeah, yeah.
for me to
I just
respond to
wanted to
any.
throw that in there just to remind people it's like, yes, it's a serious topic, but we still are human. We still
Absolutely.
crack jokes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All the time. Yes, yes.
Awesome. So then what is as the new year's coming in, school year's coming back, and you guys are doing the different drives and initiatives to get the kids ready to go back to school, is that throughout the month of August?
So it's throughout the month of August, but one of the things that we discovered was that come December,
Mm,
children they no longer have school supplies. So we
mm.
want to do what's called a re-up.
Okay.
So we want to replenish because everybody does. Got your back, school book backpacks now, and every church, every organization, and that comes in August. So yes, our children start out with all the items they need, but when they come back from their winter break, Christmas break, whatever, however you look at that time off, um, they come back without supplies. They come back winter months begin to hit. They come back without coats, many of our children. They don't have they're not ready for the winter. So they don't have the proper outer garments. And usually book bags are torn, lost, whatever the issue is. I don't care how many strings I would put on my daughter's gloves, she still would come home with one glove. I don't
Mm,
care if I tied it around her neck, she could still lose a glove. So we're going to do a re-up in come January
mm,
for the children. So not just to say, hey, we got your back in August, but we got your back all school year.
mm,
And so that's one of the things that we're going to do. So it will be an ongoing process. One of the things I would love to do that's on our to-do list is tutoring. I have a tutoring program for our children and somewhere with a
Mhm.
safe place where they could go and they can complete their homework and there's someone there that could help them with their studies as well. So that is one of the goals that we are working on as well.
Gotcha. I guess that when you mentioned tutoring, that reminds me of a college initiative that we had back in this would have been like 2009, 2010. And for Georgia, they have the LSAP, as they call it. It's the Peach State Lewis Stoke Alliance. Basically, it's a program to encourage minorities to pursue the STEM fields. And like while you're in school, predominantly an engineering school, we're asked to go out for 1 week out of the week, 1 hour out of the week to a local elementary school, high school, pairing up with the teacher and helping them tutor their students. Or if they have like a particular student that may need help throughout the class, you walk around during that time and you might help them with a problem that they're having a tough time with. And some teachers would prefer to do it either during the school day or right after school where the children have received permission to stay after school. And that way it's like they're getting an older person that's in college that's vetted to be like, okay, this is someone we trust from the school. Here's their credentials, the rundown. They've got the teachers there. They have an adult that way. It's an environment that they're already familiar with. There's just after school from this time to this time. And then they get to go home to their parents and be like, hey, met this big kid that came in and he sat in on our chairs that are like this small. And you walk in, they're always looking at you like, what is that? Like, who is that?
And there are a lot of, at least I know a lot of retired educators,
Mhm.
principals, teachers, there are a lot of us. And one of the things we find in the low income um, school districts is that it's not that our parents don't want to help their children, that sometimes they can't help them. And
Right.
sometimes they're so bogged down with keeping, just the bare essentials in place, like their utility bills, and they're trying to work to make sure there's food on the table. So it's not that they don't want to. It
Mhm.
or sometimes outside things that are happening that they can't do what needs to be done. And sometimes they just can't help them with certain assignments. So we know a lot of, I'm calling all my educator friends, somebody, our children really do need that support. So that's one of our tasks for our foundation is to support our young people in school, out of school,
Mhm.
uh, and support them in whatever pathway that they choose to take, that they will be able to be successful in that pathway. And that's the goal.
Yeah. I, I definitely agree with you there because I can remember a lot of times after school, I'd always do sports because it was like a helpful way to have something to do immediately after. And then it kind of gives the parent time to come and get you or to be able to get a ride from a friend that either lives near you or it's not too much out of the way for them to be able to help your parents out that might be in a bind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I made my daughter join sports for that reason. You didn't have too much time on your hand,
Right, right,
that allowed me the time to leave my from the school that I was working at to get home
right.
and and I knew you were in a safe space and a safe place and that you were okay. And so
Yeah,
then by the time we meet home, absolutely. So they definitely need to bring sports back, bring the arts back to our schools because our children so desperately need all of those things. Those
yeah.
were some of the best years of school for many of us, and it's what kept many of us in school. I know quite a few people that were not interested in school, but in order to play football,
Mhm.
had to come to school. In
Gotcha.
order to play football, you had to pass. So it
Right.
wasn't that they couldn't pass. They weren't interested in passing. They weren't interested in school, but that football team made them have interest in their own education. And many of them have gone on to be very successful because of that. So there are many ways to to catch a fish, so to
Yeah.
speak. It's a lot of bait out there, but how do you bait each child? Because every child is different and everybody doesn't learn the same way
Right.
and need something different. So those are the things that we really want to do. One of the things we want to do, and the other is very important, near and dear, is we want to be able to have some feed the program where we provide food to our families. We all know we're upon some tough times right now,
Mhm.
and with all the recent things that are going on, they're only getting tougher for many of our families. So, when I close my eyes at night, I want to make sure that everybody else, every other family has food on their table just like I do.
Right. I guess in the Philly area, have people become more distant, or are people not as community oriented locally?
Um, I think you would find that true in any city,
Mhm.
in our major cities, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in Pennsylvania. um, there is a struggle there.
Mm.
And surprisingly or not, I was in Utah maybe about a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, for my job, and I was shocked. Utah had a huge homeless problem.
Mm.
Um, and I'm like, you know, that now this is just from reading books and probably what I thought I knew of Utah. And my Lyft driver said to me, there is a huge homeless problem here. So this is across the board, no
Mm.
matter where you live. Um, it is across the board now that we are finding in our major cities homelessness, families that do not have food. There are families that without utilities living in homes. And it may be more in the city because we are, everybody's in a rush, everybody's in a hurry,
Right.
trying to get to wherever they're going. And we need to really, that Philadelphia is supposed to be known for brotherly love and sisterly sharing. Well,
Mhm.
let's show that brotherly love. Let's really share with our sisters. And so we all have an obligation and a responsibility. We are our brothers and sisters keeper. We all have an obligation.
Right.
So that is really the goal.
Yeah. I think, yeah, the last time I was in Philly was 20, either 2024 or 2023. And I went and visited with some ladies that I interviewed because I took a trip out to Israel, and they were going to present at one of the local churches where they shared about their trip, and they were talking about what the experience was like. And this was prior to the conflicts that broke out within the last year. So I think it had to be 2023 then.
Okay. Recently.
Yeah. So it was neat how they described like arriving, being able to take the tour of like where Jesus did most of his ministry and things like that. And just seeing the community, it was like an older community, but like being able to see some of the love there. But then you go to another side of town, and like you said, you describe the city like any city. For me, Atlanta's the closest big city here, where
Mhm.
as soon as you get in, it's like just so much going on. People are driving 100 miles an hour one way, and you're like,
Right.
I'm just trying to get through the city or around the city as quickly as possible and let you guys get back to whatever you got going on. Like, I'm not trying to become a casualty, a bystander, and just moving along. But like when you're not trying to dodge and move around this, it's actually nice to like visit the city, enjoy certain things in there. But it is like a good reminder to remember that, hey, like people actually live here. There are struggles, there are challenges, but there are resources that can be made available if people remember to kind of come together and remember that there are people on the other end of interactions, and we're not just like pieces or numbers being moved around. It's just like, this person's not really my problem. I couldn't care less. But like, unfortunately, things like disasters kind of bring things back home, where in this area last year, in September, I believe they had a hurricane that just came up this way, went all the way up to North Carolina, and created a lot of floods and things like that. And there's nothing more to humble you than Mother Nature, or like a natural disaster where it's like, well, the wind can huff and blow, and like tornadoes just drop out of the sky. It's like, it's not much else you could do. You could prep with water, get the chainsaws out after, try to cut your way out if you got trapped, and then make sure you've got like power and just like the essentials. But then that's like, okay, this is what's important now. Like all that other stuff that was supposed to be getting done doesn't matter. Like until this gets done, until we get power back, like nothing else is going to happen.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that's our goal for the foundation. It really is our goal. And we're prayerful and we know that we can do it. It's just a little bit of work. We don't
Mhm.
have a lot, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
I used to tell my team at work sometimes we got a lot of little bit to do. It's a
Mhm.
lot of work, but we can get it done as a team. So that is the goal, is really, if I do a little and the next person do a little, and we're not trying to fight amongst each other, but we're trying to work together. There are a lot of foundations out there. There are a lot of organizations that help. But if we all work together, we can get it done as if we all just put our minds together and go back to an earlier statement, it's not about me and it's not about you.
Mhm.
It is about how we service and help people. So that is where we are, as far as the foundation. And a lot of the LLC, my Love Sonya Denise LLC
Mhm.
supports, financially supports the foundation. As a foundation would like to, like I said, we have a lot of goals. We want to do scholarships. We want to help our children go to school without a whole lot of debt.
Mhm.
Most of us that graduated, we graduated with a lot of debt. Some
Yeah.
of us are still paying off those debts. We could have bought homes with how much we owe in debt for school. So we
Right.
want to be able to provide scholarships for our young people as well, and to help single mothers. That's near and dear to my heart. Is to be able to help single mothers and to help them find their place again. Especially one of the things we talked about before was being divorced and starting all over again.
Mhm.
Um, Want to be able to help them start over again. So, but the LLC supports that financially. So I'm not getting rich off of it,
Yeah.
selling books. So the money goes right back into the bucket. And it's okay. And it's okay because, we want to be able to be a blessing to others. And if that's how God allows me to bless others, then so be it. And
Mhm.
so that is the goal. And we just keep pushing forward.
I think that's a solid plan. All you can do is what's right in front of you, because otherwise it's like if you just get too much, like there's always great ideas that can come forward, and then it's like it's easy to get sidetracked.
Absolutely. It's very easy to get sidetracked. And. So a lot of I can't say my work is separate one from the other because it kind
Mhm.
of work hand in hand. Like God to give me like the journal Whispers of Grace. He
Mhm.
gave that to me, a 365-day journal. Um, but it's through all of the things that I've been through, whether they're good, bad, happy, or sad.
Mhm.
Um, there are, but those he continuously whispers to me and he speaks to me in those quiet moments. And he speaks to me about what I should be doing and what the next thing I should be doing to help other people. Um, we're not here. I'm a strong believer that, that is really what we're created to do is to always to be a help in some form of way.
Right.
Everybody do it differently. This is just my way. So again, the book is was something that I actually started before my book was published, Resilient Reflections. So I
Mhm.
actually started the journal pri pr before I actually published the book.
Right.
So when
Right.
that book came out with the journal, and it was the book and the journal, and they were working hand in hand. This is totally different.
Right.
It is It is totally different. There are lessons and stories in there, and then there is a lot of reflection and scripture reading, and just really digging deeper
Mm.
into our own pain and moving that pain to purpose. You know, all that pain there has to be a purpose for this pain at the end of the day. And
Right.
that's really where that work came from. And there are many days I can't tell if I'm working for the foundation or I'm working for the LLC
Mm.
because they just go together. In my mind, they do.
Yeah. I do remember when we were speaking about resilient reflections that you were kind of looking at the idea of either keeping it a book or making it a journal. So then you were able to do both and then have this other journal separate.
Right. It just I just started writing just different stories, and then really like my own self-reflection and all of that, and what my walk looks like. And that often your walk is not that much different than others in life. And so that's how this journal really came about, because the journal for the book is more attached to the stories in the book. So,
Mm.
it kind of, they go hand in hand. There's a story, and then there's, of course, a lesson
Right.
of that we hope we learned. So there's a lesson that we hope we learn. But this is really different, and it is near and dear to my heart. It really is. It is Every page is God speaking.
Mm.
There is not one page that I can say is Sonia's page. It is what I really, God is speaking and actually speaking to me. And in different ways. There are people who are like, oh, God talks to you. Well, God doesn't always talk directly to me. He might indirectly talk to me through
Mm.
someone else, or through a song, or through something that happened in life, or I turn on the news. So that he speaks to me in multiple different avenues. So it's not just one avenue, that I'm in prayer and God speaks to me. He shows me different things in different ways. So this, I know, I know will touch someone. It is not it's not by date. It's
Mhm.
just you could start at page 15, if you feel like this is where you are right now, or
Mm.
page 16, but it is 365 days. So
Gotcha.
there's something in there for every day of
Mm.
your life.
So it's more topical than like you have to do it in this order.
Right.
Gotcha.
There's right. You do
That
not
makes
have to follow it day by day, day one, day two. I may start at day 25 because that's
Mhm.
where I may be that day.
Gotcha.
And it's what I need to hear from the Lord that day.
I guess when you're going through the writing process and like say you came to the end of the first book and journal and like do you get a sense of relief or is it like and I don't want to go through that again? Like what's that process like? Is it like I'm glad that was over or is it at times you get to do like a brain dump when you're just journaling and whatever's on your mind is coming out and it's like, "Oh, maybe I can continue down this train of thought and like put it aside for a later day to be used in a manner where I may be led to."
Um, I often think back. For me, the process was also therapeutic. And there was some sigh of relief, and there was a sigh of release as well. So there was relief and release from
Mhm.
some things. Because there's one thing to feel it and to think it, but now I say it and then put it on paper and actually read it. So there was that period. There were some things that I was able to release
Mhm.
as well. Um, I didn't feel like that was it for me. Like that was okay. This is the one and done. It was like it felt good to be able to say some things that
Mhm.
I had locked inside for a long time, and go back to not feeling shame.
Mhm.
There was no shame. It's my story. Um, it is my truth, and to give me that moment to be authentic, not only with others, but with myself.
Mhm.
To show myself my authentic self, and to be authentic about what I've really been through, what I've really been feeling. So there was not a I don't know if there is a completion to that.
Right.
Know that until I get there. But
Yeah.
right now, I can't say I'm there.
Got you. For some reason, the stages of grief keep popping up in my head, whether it's like in a serious tone or like the haha tone, but like kind of going from like the recognition or the denial to then like the acceptance and then the next and the next. And I'm like, sometimes it feels like some things go through that stage, but then when you're doing something that's more therapeutic, it doesn't feel as jolting where it's like, okay, and then here's the next stage, and here's the next stage. It's like, okay, it's just something that works its way through. Like, I don't know if I'd describe it like getting a massage. If somebody finds like that pin that's in your back and they're pushing into it, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm about to scream, cry, or holler, but it's like I trust the person and what they're doing. As soon as they get this knot worked out, everything else will be okay. But if I keep holding it in and keep trying to fight the process, it just makes it worse. And the next thing you know, you're getting an elbow in your back and you're like, why am I fighting this thing? I know I need to like release and let go of, just let go, just let go. And it's
Just
like,
let go.
yeah. And sometimes it's like it hurts, but it's part of the process.
It is hard to let go of it's hard to let go of some things. And for me, writing is helping me to let go of
Mm.
those things. And there's some grief? Yeah. Yeah, I still grieve some things. But grief is a great emotion.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things I've learned is that every emotion is a good emotion. Whether I'm angry, whether I'm sad, whether I am grieving something, they're great emotions because this is what's helping me to move forward and not to stay stuck in one space.
Mm. Did you ever have a time when you were fighting with your emotions? Like maybe it's like growing up with the you're not supposed to feel like this. This might be a bad example, but people would often say boys don't cry. But then it's like there are certain things that will happen, whether it's a momentous occasion. You might see a dad that might cry at his daughter's graduation, where she's like transitioning from womanhood, going from high school to going off to college. They're basically sending you off into the world. And it's not one of those somebody died, so now it's the only time I'm allowed to cry type moment. But like the more life keeps happening, you just find yourself just experiencing it. And it's not like, okay, I'm carrying this box. And once I reach this point in my life, this is when I can open this box. And then now I can express this emotion. Up until then, it's like this just stays closed off, closed off, closed off, closed off. And then it's like, what do I do with it? What do I do with it? And like, it's a weird tug of war.
So and this is one of the things I touch in the book, in my first book, and I will continue to say this, not parent bashing at all,
Mhm.
but I believe that our parents taught us to suppress. Well, let me speak for myself. Taught us to suppress our emotions, our feelings. They used to say, "You're a child. You don't have any feelings." I
Mhm.
absolutely do.
Right.
Um, and so when men cry, it's like men aren't supposed to cry because tell me where that's written. What law of the land did that come from? Who said that? Or, it's like my mother used to say, if we weren't allowed to say if something gets on our nerves, you don't have
Mhm.
nerves, you're a child.
Mhm.
And so you grow up with all of these things. I don't have feelings. So how do I really feel?
Mhm.
um or how do I express how I feel? How do I understand the emotions I'm going through? How do I deal with the emotions I'm going through? And if I see a man cry, do I then say he must be a coward because men don't cry? But
Mm.
men do cry. We all cry. It's a great emotion. That's
Yeah.
all I would say. Crying is a wonderful emotion, and you do feel.
Yeah.
You know, how can God heal you if you don't feel anything? How can he heal your broken heart if you walk around and say, I don't feel like I'm broken? How
Mm.
does he bind up your wounds if you are too busy covering them up all the time? Um, you know, how does any of that happen in the process if you are unwilling to say, I am broken?
Mm.
Or I do have wounds, I do have scars, or I have wounds that have not healed.
Yeah.
Um, and so I believe that a lot of that is learned behavior, whether it's from society, from your home, or just something you picked up along the way. I believe that that's where all that came from. And we're and that leads a lot of uh, um, leads into mental health
Yeah.
because I'm all this stuff is in my mind, and the Bible's clear that the enemy is in your mind. So I'm warring in my mind, but I can't express it. I can't let the outside people see it. And we're wearing these masks every day. So how
Right.
do I really take off that mask so that I can be healed? So that my wounds can be binded and so that they can begin to heal too. Because now I'm being authentic to myself. You know, be true to thy own self first.
Yeah.
And that is what all of this is about for me. This is the work that I know that God has directed me to do, and this is where He's guiding me. Be true to thy own self first.
Yeah. What's something that's interesting to me is looking at the start of the year versus being in the middle or a little bit past the middle of the year now and thinking back to like, okay, sometimes at the start of the year, it feels like, man, this might be the worst time ever, whether it feels like the winter blues or it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to get past this. And then at one point in time, it feels like, okay, maybe I'm fighting the wrong thing or I'm fighting the wrong people. It's like you're fighting against the person that's trying to help you the most. And like you're fighting against yourself internally, where it's like you're warring with old programming with new things. And it's like you're not trusting the new because it's, well, I don't trust myself to take heed to this new advice because if I would have taken heed to new advice, I wouldn't be in this position before. And it's like this weird circular reasoning that keeps you stuck and it doesn't allow you to be like, okay, maybe I try it anyways and just see what happens. Because what I've been doing to this point has been a practice of insanity. And not to insult myself, but it's like I do think I can realize I'm doing the same thing and I'm still here. And here's where I've been for a while.
I can't
And
appreciate the new if I haven't dealt with the old.
right,
I cannot appreciate the new. Life is a journey.
right.
It is a journey. It's a path filled with moments of triumphs and seasons of struggle. And until I deal with the old, I cannot begin to appreciate the new. It's like going into a relationship.
Mm.
Um, if I haven't dealt with old wounds, old scars, old hurts, I'm carrying all of that stuff into this new relationship,
Right.
and until I have dealt with those things that are a heavy burden for me, I can't
Mm.
appreciate the new. I can't appreciate being loved.
Right.
We talked about that. What really got me was when I was told trying to love you is like trying to like a bottomless pit. It was like, ouch.
Yeah. That
Like,
that shook me the last time you said it. I was
yeah.
like, eh,
And and so that stopped me and said, you really have to deal with whatever it is, whether it's from your childhood, from your marriage. And so for many, a lot of times you carry from your childhood into your relationships. And then you carry that into your children.
mm,
And where does it end? And where does it stop? And really, when you're so wounded, you don't know where it began and where it ended,
Yeah.
because everything is just all jumbled up together to you. And so I can't appreciate any new beginnings. I can't appreciate any of those things. And those are the things we want to talk about and deal with. You know, again, life is a journey of
Yeah.
becoming. And I
Uh,
can't be the best version of me until I dealt with the old version.
Right. And I think to your point of dealing with mental health, especially in a healthy capacity or having someone from a third perspective that's not necessarily close family wise, because it's like sometimes people will challenge you within your family to say, like, why do you think you need to talk to a stranger? Not all the while not realizing that maybe indirectly they're the ones that have caused you the pain and that are doing the wounding. So it's like they're offering you this advice where it's like, okay, I respect you and I honor you to a degree to where maybe I'm overvaluing what you're saying and I'm taking their advice over what would be the overarching help me to get out from underneath this thing that feels like it's suffocating me. And then I have to do this for my survival and go from there. It's not, I do A, I come explain to you how I did A in order to move to step B. And it's like that works in childhood, maybe, and like in home rearing. But once you get out into the real world, like you don't come back and report, hey, I paid my phone bill. Hey, I signed up for insurance. Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I'm going to do that. So it's like in the same way, you become an adult and you take on other responsibilities. Now, when it turns into taking responsibility for everything that flows in and out of your mind and what ultimately comes out and defines how you build your life or what you build your life on, that can't be trusted to everyone, even if it's like those especially closest to you, where it's like they're supposed to be your foundation and you're this and you're that. It's like it takes some form of discernment to be able to say, hey, everything that I have or everything that I know isn't always to be divulged to like those that have a direct stake into what the outcomes of that are. Because then it's like, okay, if I have to make this decision for the greater good, but this person doesn't agree on it, now I'm always beholden to that. And that's not saying you're going to make a decision sneaking behind people's back, but it's like certain things to have mental clarity. It's like you've got to keep some people at arm's length to be like, okay, hey, like I have to be able to navigate some of my own feelings. And then the ones I can't navigate, I need someone else's perspective that doesn't necessarily have a stake in what happens to me. Like by good practice, they don't want something bad to happen. But by all intents and purpose, if the next decision I need to make might negatively affect you, but ultimately gets me in a better position to do well overall, that might be a hard decision I need to make in order to be healthy.
But my healing first is for myself.
Yeah.
I can't be anything to anyone else until I am healed. So my healing is first for myself. And the second thing, as you were talking, I thought about is that there are seasons. Um, there are seasons for everything, seasons for relationships, seasons for friends, seasons for people. And it's not to say that I'm gonna throw you away, but that season of my life may have ended with you.
Mm,
The third thing is I just had this conversation, and people hate when you say you set boundaries,
mm,
but boundaries are necessary. And I can acknowledge your feelings and acknowledge you may not like some of the things that how I'm healing, how I'm changing, and I will acknowledge that, but it does not mean that I am now going to hide under some umbrella so that I don't hurt your feelings. And meanwhile, I keep having to suppress my feelings. This time may just be over for us.
mm,
And that is where a lot of the work came from. And in the devotional, the 365-day devotional, it came just from that, from my
mm,
journey of faith, my journey of healing and transformation. And all of that was about me. all is the it was about I have to heal for myself before I can even think about loving someone else or someone loving me. Um, because you will never think you're worthy or that you are enough
Hmm.
if you are unhealed. And this journal gives you permission to be honest with yourself, to feel, to release, and embrace the fullness of who you are becoming. That's what this journal is about. It
Hmm.
gives you permission to be honest first to yourself and to feel how you feel, to release whatever you need to release, and to embrace the fullness of who you're becoming. And my prayer, my hope is that you don't have to wait all your life to get where you need to be. That our young ladies will be able to pick up this journal and really know that you are enough.
Hmm.
You are enough. And so that's a part of all of that healing. And I just can't walk around on eggshells to make you feel better, but
Right.
suppress my feelings. You know, I can teach you how to treat me. I can tell you how I want to be treated, and then it's up to you how you treat me, how you love me. And then it becomes back on me. Do I want to continue to participate in this relationship? And
Right.
there are seasons. In some relationships, the seasons end.
Yeah. I think one of the one of the nicest things I've seen is watching healthy people interact that have boundaries and that know, okay, I can't just show up and push this person around expecting them to not be offended or challenged in a way to be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you're not just going to come here and run roughshod over me. And at the same time, to be able to butt heads, or not, maybe butt heads might not be the right term, but people can have their individual intentions, but
Mhm.
still respecting what other people present that might be opposite of them, to be like, okay, I want this. I may not be able to go in this direction, but I still want to work with this person. And I can see the value that they bring and that they have inherently. So that's why I want to work with them in the first place. It's not just I want my way and whoever I can drag along, whoever I can just like get over on, that's who I'm going to go with. Because then it shows you kind of the character of the person where it's like, okay, are you winning friends along the way, or are you just like getting over on as many people as you can get over on? And then maybe once you get caught, you get dealt with. And then it's like, if you don't get caught, you just keep running the same scam over and over. And then someone does a big old expose and they're like, this person over here, front and center, big title, they make a whole documentary on you. And it's like, eh,
But I choose
those are just the haters speaking. Don't listen to that. It's fake
no.
news.
But I would tell anybody choose peace first.
Yeah.
Choose your peace. Choose your peace. And I choose me.
Mm.
Because why? Because I'm worthy to choose me. I am worthy to choose me. I choose me. I choose me over all the chaos. Um, I'm no longer suppressing how I feel. I'm no longer walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Uh, I choose me. And it may just not be, it may not be the right time. And it just, there's a happy ending. And you got to decide what you willing to participate in and what you're not willing to participate in.
Right.
And all of that is um one about what the journal is about. It's about transformation, it's about healing, it's about your faith, it's about your walk, it's about the seasons, it's about where you felt unseen, unworthy, and uncertain of what was next.
Mm.
But in those moments, God's grace will meet you there. In those very moments, His love carried me through those things, even when I couldn't see the way,
Hmm.
um, or even when I didn't feel it. But He did carry me through. God's grace carried me through a lot of things. And there were times where, you know, And I talked about this in the first book, and I will continue to talk about it because I believe it's real. There was times where I felt like I'm going to just end it all.
Mm.
Life is just not worth living, you know. But by the grace of God, there would be no resilient reflections. There will be no upcoming whispers of grace. There would be no foundation if I had done those things. And so this is what the work is about. It's
Right.
about you are worthy, you are seen, you are enough, and your voice matters. And that's the work.
Yeah.
That is the work.
And maybe one more question on healing specifically. How have you dealt with going through the healing process when it's like you thought you got over something, and then when you encounter it again, it's like, man, I thought I overdid this, but it's like, you mean I've got to go through those emotions again versus when that thing comes up and like you don't have the same reaction, like there's that peace that you finally feel that's over you, where other people may be like, how did you respond to all that chaos that came at you like this and like that, and you weren't moved at all?
Healing is just like grief, it's not linear. It's a
Mm,
process. Every day it's a process. And there are sometimes I'd be like, I missed the mark. You know, I didn't react like I wanted to react, like I know I should have reacted to that. But that's okay. I
mhm,
tell myself it's okay. You didn't do it the way you wanted to do it, but it's okay because you can do it again. Because there will be something else that'll come along. It's not linear. And unfortunately, it's not like going through the MRI machine and coming out and you're just going to be healed.
mm,
It is a process. And there are some bumpy roads. There are some bumps in that road. There are some hills to climb. There are some tunnels that you have to dig through. And it's okay. It's okay. It is okay. And that's what I remind myself. You are okay. And it is okay. And you may not have successfully passed the test today.
mhm,
There is a retake. And so you just keep trying and you keep reminding yourself. And that is the importance, I believe, in journaling because it because it reminds you that you have made a lot of progress, that you have come a long way.
yeah,
Um, while you may still have a lot of work to do, it's okay that today you missed the mark, or so you thought you missed the mark, or you felt like you missed the mark,
right.
because you get an opportunity to do it again.
Mm. One, I guess one thing I'd say on journaling that I found to work for me was that initially I thought for journaling, I would try to journal almost every day, like keeping a daily planner and then going to a month and then trying to recap it at the end of each week. And having that routine, I thought this was like stellar. But then when I felt myself not keeping up with that volume of journaling, and it's just like, I either don't want to do it again, don't want to look at it again, but now like having just like a blank notebook that I fill in from time to time, whether it's like once a month, once a week, or like even having been off for a year and then I come back and I look at the dates because I'd usually just write the day's date. And like I flip back and I'm like, oh wow, it's been almost exactly a month or almost exactly a year since I last journaled. And I jot down some things and maybe I pick out one sentence that's like, I felt differently about writing this. Or even if I did a brain dump, I'm like, huh, something did change. Or I'm seeing a pattern there. And I'm like, maybe this is how it works for me, to where someone told me you need to do it like this, but like just that you need to wasn't working for me. And then
Absolutely.
finally, when I went to do it, I'm prompted by just, I have an idea, let me write this down. And then start, stop, that's it. That's all I needed to put down. And it's like, okay, like I almost forgot that, oh, writing down my ideas, I was just that was journaling. It wasn't like I got to get the coffee or the tea. I've got to turn on the lights, dim this, get the music going. Like I've got to be like dancing or something. It's like it's different for everybody, but finally finding things where it's like once a week or once in a while, I sit down and I do it. And I look back at the dates and I'm like, hey, I'm creating a pattern. And as I'm actually reading through my journal to go back from a year ago today, it's like, huh, I gave myself maybe some homework and I can actually follow through on that. And it's like I'm building my story in my own pace. And it's like, wow, okay, this works. Like I no longer feel the pressure to go back to somebody and be like, hey, look, I did my homework. Look. Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? And it's like, I get it. Like in spirit, I hope they're proud of me, but it's like I don't feel the need anymore to like go report to the teacher just to get like that gold star or to like get the attaboy. It's like it's gonna be okay. I'm on my process. I'm in my journey, and it's like I'm learning along the way.
So I would like to just read this, because something you said, and this is right out of the journal. This is not a devotional you have to read in order. This is not a journey you have to begin on January 1st. This is not a book for perfect people with perfect lives. This is a whisper to your soul, an invitation to come as you are, tired, healing, hopeful, unsure. And it's just that simple. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do it every day. This is just a whisper to your soul. It says, Whispers of Grace was written for the woman who's been through some things, the one who's tried to hold it together, but sometimes feels like she's falling apart, the one who knows about faith, but still wrestles with doubt, the one who's learning to believe that her past doesn't disqualify her from peace, purpose, or love. This devotional is a soft landing place. That's what it is. And so when we're journaling, I don't have to do it like anyone else. I don't have to follow a pattern. This journal is just a whisper up to my soul. And it is reminding me that no matter what is happening or what has happened, that my past doesn't define who I am, where I'm going, or who I will be. And I'm
Yeah,
just becoming.
I think that's beautifully said, and it's the perfect bookend to where we started our conversation a year ago, looking at the untethered soul and just
Yes,
seeing the additions that you've not only made for yourself, but like how you've built your story and really like opened up yourself to just get out what's within and have other people be able to take from that, other young women to get over some of the things that are just like this is your scarlet letter and you've got to wear this for the rest of your life. And it's like, hey, here's the permission to cut that off or understand what comes with this.
absolutely.
And go ahead and let people know where can they find the journal and to get your first book.
My first book, Resilient Reflections, I am no longer, I believe we talked about it on Amazon, but you
Mhm.
can find it on Lulu,
Okay.
or you can go to my website at www.lovesonyadenise.com. You can shop. We have a lot of merchandise there. We have really evolved into a lot of things, hats, sweatshirts. So you can find them all on my website. Whispers for Grace will be out the 1st of October. You will also be able to find that on my website. If you just want to check in on the foundation, you can go to www.thesonyadenisefoundation.com. So that's where we can be found. We are also on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. We're on all of them. So you can also go in and hit our bio, and you will be able to find the first book, Resilient Reflections, as well as the journal.
Got you. I thought I was about to have my heart broken there. I thought you were going to say we're no longer printing. I was like, what? Wait, what? Like,
No.
no.
And while we're talking, well, we can talk at the end, I guess, before
Mm,
you, um, I, I wanted to send it to you, and I don't know what happened with that.
got you.
Okay.
Well, and from the first question I asked you, are you still who you said you were?
Wow. Ouch. And wow. That's a good question. I believe I've evolved. I'm evolved into my authentic self. One of my lines I say at the end of every video is I'm staying bold and I'm staying unapologetic. I am living authentically unapologetic life at this point. So no, I'm not who I was, but I'm
Mm,
always who I was meant to be.
I like that. Thank you again for taking the time to catch up with me. And I look forward to the release of your new journal, Whispers to Your Soul. That's an
Whispers of
appropriate
grace. Whispers
whis-
of grace.
whispers of grace, man.
300. Yes.
You really knocked it out of the park with these titles.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.